Ukrainian drones are conquering new horizons. Following the systematic destruction of energy infrastructure facilities,
Are you a pilot?
critical logistics infrastructure, extensive military-industrial complex facilities, and various Russian military bases, these persistent and increasingly effective drones have now also successfully struck at the vital air traffic networks of the vast Russian Federation. The heart of Russia-Moscow is under an air blockade.
No information, we can't exchange our tickets. My Istanbul-Venice tickets disappeared, 3 tickets. Now for each ticket they're asking me to pay an extra $980. It's the same thing.
What are the consequences of such a blockade? And how is the Russian Federation trying to deal with this real collapse? The Russian air defense is failing at its task, often shooting down UAVs right over residential buildings. Drones are increasingly reaching the Moscow region as well as the Moscow and Leningrad oblasts, thereby disrupting the operations of Russia's largest airports in Moscow and St. Petersburg. As a result of such raids, key regions of the Russian Federation are experiencing an aviation collapse. Hundreds of flights cancelled and even more delayed for dozens of hours.
The situation at the airports of the Russian Federation currently looks as follows. In Moscow, 160 flights were delayed overnight and 31 were cancelled. At Domodedovo, 22 flights were delayed. At Vnukovo, 31 flights were delayed. At Pulkovo, in St. Petersburg, 23 flights were delayed, 23 were cancelled, and 24 outbound flights were cancelled. In Nizhny Novgorod, 2 arriving and 2 departing flights were cancelled. In Yaroslavl, 2 outbound flights to St. Petersburg and Moscow have been delayed, and 1 inbound flight has been delayed. At Pskov Airport, 3 flights have been cancelled. In Kaluga, 2 flights have been cancelled and 2 delayed.
Thousands of Russians are spending the night on the floors of airports. For example, at Sheremetyevo Airport, the administration has resigned itself to the new reality and started handing out comfortable mattresses to passengers waiting for their flights. Russians are absolutely furious, while airport staff are at a complete loss and can only shrug their shoulders.
We've been standing here for 12 hours. The children weren't given a hotel or water or anything at all.
Meanwhile, for the Kremlin leadership, everything is going according to plan.
The special military operation is proceeding strictly and precisely on schedule, according to the established plan.
So much so that the former Minister of Transport, Roman Starovoy, who was dismissed after the first aviation collapses, has shot himself.
At the same time, the Ukrainian side is ramping up both the production of strike UAVs themselves and improving their tactical and technical characteristics. Overall, at present, most of the drones being used are equipped with so-called machine vision, which allows them to bypass Russian electronic warfare and air defense systems.
After the change in leadership, the new minister Nikitin only vaguely acknowledges that the authorities have no solution to the problem affecting tens of thousands of residents.
Of course, we will certainly try, we will work closely with our colleagues from the Ministry of Defense and try to do something, but safety always comes first here. The inconveniences are understandable, the discomfort is understandable, but no one will risk passenger safety.
And by the way, what's interesting is that discomfort and inconvenience are only for commoners. For nobles, airports continue to operate as usual while thousands of residents wait for flights sitting on the floor. Shastin and his delegation calmly depart from Moscow's Vnukovo and no red carpet bothers them. The aviation sector of the Russian economy is suffering huge losses.
Western sanctions, among other things, have dealt a significant blow to Russia's aviation industry. At one time, before the war, I worked in the civil sector of the aviation industry. Believe me, when an airport shuts down for just 2 hours, that's already a huge loss for the airport, and for the airlines it's a massive problem. That's why, in this case, every drone definitely pays for itself.
One of the most important factors in the success of the air blockade is Ukraine's minimal investment. From a financial standpoint, a few hundred inexpensive Ukrainian drones are destroying a strategically important sector for the Kremlin.
If we take into careful consideration that, according to official reports from the Ministry of Defense of the occupying country, the sovereign territory of the Russian Federation was attacked by approximately 100 aerodynamic strike assets, then the mathematical calculations clearly show that the economic losses to the Russian economy are dozens of times, so indeed dozens of times greater than accordingly the expenditures on the Ukrainian side.
In addition to hitting the economy, the drones are destroying Russian logistics. In addition to targeting the Russian military-industrial complex, oil refineries and military facilities, drones are increasingly striking railway infrastructure. In the Rostov region, due to damage to the overhead contact system, hundreds of trains are delayed by dozens of hours.
They hit the railway station.
There is a comprehensive and significant impact on the logistics component of the Russian Federation, both on the overall economy and its effects, and accordingly on the logistical capabilities of the occupying army.
Z channels acknowledge the ongoing aviation crisis in Russia, believing that the complete blockade of Moscow and other regions is Kyiv's ultimate trump card in any negotiations with the Kremlin.
Zelensky carries out such raids on airports in order to make the cessation of these attacks on civilian airports part of the bargaining process. In other words, to trade the cancellation of such raids for a part of the Kharkiv region. Such mass raids could become a regular occurrence. This is a powerful blow, but it is also terrorism.
That's all for now. Don't forget to write in the comments which types of weapons you'd like to learn more about. Like this video and, of course, subscribe to our Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.